Oh, welcome back my gardening friends. Well, there's a storm a-looming. It's Sunday the 12th of April. I'm just moving a bit of water about. These two galvanised tanks are full, and if we do get any rain I want to have some area to collect it. And you probably can't hear my water feature working around the pond. That's because the pump's actually in the tank. This is my whale pump. I bought this one exactly the same time as I bought my previous bilge pump, and all I've done is put one of my filters on the bottom, and the hose pipe is an exact fit to fit inside the outlet. And it's just run by an ordinary car battery that I've bought over from plot 3, and I've got an inline converter there from 12 volt down to 6, so that gives me a nice flow in the water feature, but it's not awfully good for pumping water around at 6 volts. But this was a temporary thing just to see whether it works. I can put some of these connectors on there. Now I know that this is quite a good little bit of kit. It's quite cheap on Amazon as well. We've moved this staging outside. We've got some spare Bedfordshire Champions, some long red Florence banana shallots that Alan sent me. We've got some Walla Walla onions that Marie Curie sent me, and a few other things here that Alan sent. Very kind of everyone. It gives me a chance to try different things. These Sabuto F1 beetroot, they are going to be interplanted on plot 3. We'll show you a little bit later. A massive dilemma with the giant red cabbages. With the travel restrictions, do I go up to the other allotment? I don't want to bend any rules, but I've got to make a decision. Either that, we're going to have to grow them in the pots. So this is my guttering wick system, and I got it switched on and it worked too well. You can probably see now I've got more plastic down, and that is because it literally drained the tank, and this is the reason why. The moisture was being drawn into the cloth container and then into the wood chips. So I've had to change that around a little bit. But I'll be doing a video on this when I actually plant up, and it's well moist. Dry on the top, which isn't an issue, adds stops it the moisture getting away, but it does work really well, only if it doesn't drain the tank. It's a 200 litre tank, and within 2 days it was almost down to the tap. So I'll be kicking it off again soon and see if it does it the same again. I can't see it because any extra moisture will run off the plastic back into the guttering. Wildflower Wildlife Garden. This is the water feature. That water feature in the middle of the screen was put out by somebody, free to a good home. I cut a V out of it, put a little bit of silicone to draw the water away, and that just keeps that water oxygenated for the couple of small fish we've got. That cooking apple is looking absolutely gorgeous. I've cleared all this now, well, sort of. So all the old sunflower stalks, old seed pods, everything like that has been added to that wood pile. I've used that pond liner that we had to protect it, to keep it dry. I've had this as an extra gift from somebody that knows that I do recycle. And oh dear bunny, they like it there as well. These piles are from out of the raised bed in the polytunnel. If you remember, we had vine weevils in there nibbling the carrots. So when I scatter that out, the birds will finish any grubs, cases of the moths. So hopefully it won't hurt here. That's the cherry blossom. So nice to see. And we've got the pears on this side. And the Braeburn blossom has just started to open. Got my fish poo at the ready. I've been watering the potatoes with that just to conserve a little bit of water. Stinks a bit, but I'm watering from the bottom, so that shouldn't affect the tubers. This is my homemade compost, and one or two of you spotted my very bad mistake of me adding garden lime to the mix, which only suits a couple of varieties, so I had to hastily mix extra material into this to make it viable for the other plants that I was going to use it for. It's full of lumps and everything, but that's because it's out the compost bin. And that perlite is just from a compost find. I probably wouldn't leave that in, but it's good material to use. And here's my seed potting up mix, leaf mould, wood chips, 3-year-old wood chips, 2-year-old leaf mould, and the cocoa coir that we also find. And the comfrey's coming to life. Just a little close-up of the cooking apple. We rescued this off another plot before we ploughed it. My first asparagus shoot. That'll be ready in a few days' time. Rhubarb's looking absolutely beautiful, and if you do see a seed head, it can be good, it can be bad. If you want some seed, then leave it. If you want more sticks of rhubarb, then pull it off from the bottom. Don't cut it, just pull it out, trying to get as much as you can. Some rogue volunteer flowers, and a nice clump of grass. And a lovely dandelion flower, and the blackberries have just started to form, not the flowers anyway, and some of the strawberries have decided to grow. A few little finds, mainly from home doing the garden, so I'll be reusing some of this. Got some more guttering, some good 4-metre lengths for my long vegetables, and everything else on plot 1 is looking really nice for this time of the year. I had a bit of a tidy up in the middle of the screen. The polycarbonate sheets are in the number 2 manure bin, and all the pallets in the middle of the screen are now stacked up and covered up. I had a bit of a good tidy up, and all the polycarbonate sheets in the middle of the screen have been tied up, ready to use wherever. We're moving to plot 3, and the fruit cage won't go in there today, but these blueberries, the flowers are just started to form now, and everything's looking really healthy. One of the jobs for April is to edge this up, make it look nice and tidy, but that's one of the low priority jobs. So the underground worm farms, we've now got all 6 in. Ideal. And this is my vertical gardening, And this side we've got these where the cucumbers, melons, squashes will go, and this framework there will be ideal to support them on one side. And this is, I could get 2 more buckets at the top, I'm not sure whether you're seeing that or not, but basically all it is some of that strapping. I'll show you another piece in a minute, cut to length, and we've just wrapped it round there so both pieces are screwed in. And if you haven't seen the other videos before, these will have holes now cut level, so that will be the sump. And for demonstration purposes, water will go straight into the bottom. So basically that is one complete strap. These are single use, that's upside down, but it'll take about 1.5 tons. So I've just been cutting it there and cut it into equal lengths. So this is the square foot gardening come coal frames. We'll have a little look in here. So these are the beetroot microgreens. I'm trying those in the square foot gardening, and I've got 4 stations there with the microgreens, and I'm going to see if they grow to full maturity, because you do get a hell of a lot of seeds. 100 grams for £3.50. So if they grow to a decent beetroot, and not just for the greens, it's just worth knowing. Just experimenting with colours, the marker pen. So we've got blue, red and black. Leave in the comments which you can see better. So these are the bull's blood beetroot, cut and come again leaves, and radish French breakfast. Where are all the labels gone? A comment from Nigel at Muddy Boots. No doubt everybody's sub to Nigel, but it's Muddy Boots, Z at the end, not an S. He suggested I put something like that. That's better, isn't it, guys? We can see what it all is. But considering these were sown, a lot of this was sown on the 5th, a couple of stations there not come. All that one's there. These are just mixed salad leaves. These are my spring onions with some blown over radishes. I left them in, I thought they'll grow around the spring onions. And there's no show on the Nantes 5 carrots, which you'd expect at the moment. Thanks to Nigel, that'll make things a lot easier. Well spotted, Nigel, good idea. So where we've got the underground worm farms, this is my permanent bean bed and peas. So we've got no issues there. Then we'll have to rotate the crops. These are upturned lampshades. Will be where the cucumbers and everything goes. There, that is going to be the sweet corn. Now I've got even less than 27 now. I've got 3 less, because we're going to use that there as an afterthought to grow the climbers, and we will be then interplanting between all of these with the beetroot. Shock horror. Weed. So where do the weeds go? I compost my wood chips, and down there you can probably see some red brassica leaves. I just dump everything in the wood chips. So sweet corn, move on to all the cabbages. You're going to say now, what's he doing here? It's my hairnet. I've just left those on just in case the pigeons decide they want to try and get in. But these, as we've said before, retain the moisture and do give the brassicas a little bit of support, just a little bit. Let's have a little look what we've got here. So this is the broccoli I had sent me, rab, 60 days to maturity, and it's very, very quick growing. Let's check the leaves there. Don't know whether they're getting a bit warm, but I didn't harvest it quick enough last time. It kept going to seed. Well, you're supposed to pick it while the flowers are on, aren't you, silly? Very small, but I wanted to get everything in just in case we got an even bigger lockdown. You'll be noticing that there's a lot of club resistant varieties of brassicas, mainly because I do have problems with club root. Whether we get any issues now the new beds are here, but no doubt those club root spores will be about. So, another weed. Now, I did cover all this with this cocoa coir with all the roots in, and it does work, and it does retain the moisture really well. As you can see, that is still really, really wet, and we've had probably 2 weeks of dry weather. That's one that I've got to pot up or plant up. The onions have had a good tidy up, and removing all those dead leaves does really make a difference. There, the onions I had off Phil, one of my subscribers and regular viewers. These are the Peter Glazebrook giant onions, whether they'll come any good here, and they're the Kelsey onions from Pete's back garden. This is a previous video. There's the parsnip Gladiator F1, and we there start the sweet candle carrots. That's the first 40 done. This is my template, so I know where they've got to go. There's 40 stations there for the sweet candle carrots. I've got quite a surplus of fish poo now, so I've left that there, and as and when I'll water these again. We are due a storm, but any water that runs off the cardboard will go to the outsides. But the ground is still really, really wet, even where it hasn't been watered. So once you get down to the soil, so the mulching and cardboard does a brilliant job. There's the white potatoes we found on hashtag starting a new allotment, pink fir apple from Steve's Allotment. These are the purple ones we found, kestrel from a fellow plot holder, the Picasso from Alan from the Dawn Chorus plot, and they're my own Sarpos. We move round to the Jerusalem artichokes. Now we've got the plastic liner in here. I've just done I had a few spare, but I've also used cardboard here. Yeah, things are going a little bit mouldy, but Jerusalem artichokes will be all right in there. But that's retain the moisture better, so hopefully they won't escape. This is the celery bed. Pond liner at the bottom. Fish poo ready at the ready, but this is how I'm going to water the celery, so hopefully there'll be no moisture on the top, so that should deter the slugs. Oh, look at that. And that's quite wet. I'll just keep topping that up now and again. And another spare bed here eventually. And out of them wooden lengths of wood I keep getting. I'm going to make some boxes for down here. I'm sort of running out of space. Keeping an eye out for any black fly. Lots of flowers on there. Alan from the Dawn Chorus plots it on his tall ones now. He's been taking the tops out. You can eat those tops in a salad or steamed, and then that will encourage the pods to form then. But we're getting a few bees about, and a little bit of self-tickling will help them come on. Again, I've started using the lampshades, so no watering's been done here for a couple of days, but around there you can see the difference, and also typically on the Swiss Chard Brights lights, and I have pre-watered these ready to take some more radishes, and you can see there it's still nice and moist. Loads of condensation. That condensation runs back down and feeds the plants again, so evaporation and it goes back. Can't beat it. It's a great way of preserving. So a lot of these are very small, but I've got them all out just in case we did get further restrictions. Giant cabbage going to seed, and you probably hear that bumblebee about, looking for a home or food. No signs of any pods forming at the moment. So this here, this sort of angle coming up to the shed roof will be my long root vegetables. So this will all have a revamp, and I was lucky enough to find another pond liner. It's got the hole in it. I've got the thing. It was a lot of the blanket weed. Leave it out in the sunshine because normally it struggled to get off, and it just comes straight off. And hopefully we won't have too many issues when we refill it with rainwater. These are my compost bins. Leaf moulds going down now. We're using some of the spent potato compost. This is my homemade compost, similar to what you saw earlier, but 12 months on. This is the compost we find on the side of the road. It's got perlite in, so I'll keep that separate from the cocoa coir that hasn't got any perlite in it. It's got more roots in it than what's in those pots, but excellent stuff to use. I need 9 sheets of that polycarbonate sheeting, and I think if I do 3 lids evenly spaced, even though one might open further than the other, and it'll be sloping, and we'll be collecting water in the gutter into the barrels. Someone give me one of these air pots to try. Has anyone used them? Are they any good? William Coleman's garlic there, the red Russian, the elephant garlic there from Mr. Herdis. They're the 6 rounds. It didn't split last year, and there's the leeks from the pips from the seed head, and the empty spaces will be filled from the remaining ones. So those there haven't grown because they haven't been given the space, and that's the difference. I finally got round. Okay. Finally got round to getting the rest of the beetroot from the giant seeds. I've just got to sort those out. These are my dahlias. I've watered them, trying to bring them back to life, and as on plot 1 as well, the grapes are coming to life. I've added extra material from those barrels. I've got some more bagged up for there. The carrots are way past the best now. They're quite rank actually. But then parsnips are lovely. Lucky dip. Oh, peepo. But yeah, the carrots, they're too dry. Still got a few pots of potatoes. I'll just remove the lids to the sweet corn. So I bought a new packet of sweet corn in the Incredible F1, which is chitting away, and I also finishing off the Swift F1, and Benni L kindly reminded me that if I got those two varieties together we might get some cross-pollination, so I've added the rest out of the packet. So thank you to Benni L. Pop across to her channel. The channel description, it'll be in the description below. So I'm going to pop those up as and if they chit. There's only 2 chitted so far, and we've nearly got 80% germination on the new seeds. So in future I'll be buying a new packet of seed and I won't have this issue. But thank you very much. That saved me a big headache if I'd hadn't been told earlier. This is what I love about the comments and our gardening community. So here's one of the buckets that we, Blue Peter says, made earlier. So that's just a Bix lettuce. That's the bull's blood, cut and come again. And then we've got the last 2 rocket seeds in there. So there's single seed in each one. That is the Swiss chard, Bright Lights. And then I think this is the Rossa mixed, and we haven't got a red one amongst them. How weird and strange is that? These are the peas that I had from Bill's Allotments. That's Bill and Val. They're back up and running again with videos, so anyone that was subscribed to Bill and Val, 2 plots of heaven, pop across and get again and resubscribe if you wish to. But as you can see there, they're all coming through, and here's the ones from Kelly's kitchen garden. These are a mange too, and Bill kindly told me that the Kent Blue pea, lovely flowers, and also a mange too. So that's what I wanted for my salad box for work. As always, the beans always take a long time. This is why we have issues with them rotting off, and there's a couple there from Tony, the little farmer's farm, chitted, and they'll go straight into these boxes that we've got already. I haven't filled them with compost yet because it'll be a waste of water. I didn't want to put that in the vertical gardening because of the frosts and cold weather that we're due here on Tuesday after the bank holiday. And there was my second precaution in case the mice built a ladder, like Dave from Southpaw Davey Urban Farm said. Yeah, they're very clever. They could crawl up these vines and drop in. They've done it before. So always take precautions when you're trying to protect everything from the mice. These are some of the spare cabbages I need to plant up. Some more of the giant greens and etc. Some more asparagus there, little seeds. I'm going to have a permanent bed of those when they're established. But the chap who gets me the wood and pallet collars, he's short of plants. He's away for 2 weeks, so I'll get these potted up for him, and that'll be my thank you in return. And like I said, this is the compost that we may be contaminated with those vine weevils that have been nibbling on the end of the carrots. And there's one there that hasn't got a nibble on it. Tomatoes going in here, so the vine weevils won't have a food source. I didn't even think they eat the bottoms of the carrots, but they do. and that's the remaining compost that we sieved last year out the raised boxes and those barrels. There's some there to help with the extra boxes that we put in eventually, and to top the raised box in the polytunnel where the carrots and parsnips are still sitting. I must say, I'm really impressed with this at the moment. It's getting enough heat. It does get a bit warm. The lettuces did look a little bit bedraggled, but it's all a learning curve. But this is an ideal thing for people that have got little back gardens and a space this big. We'll see how much produce each one gives us, and as soon as one's finished we can replant again. If you've enjoyed the content of this video, please consider subscribing. It's a long one, but lots to see, and hopefully I've covered everything. Please leave me a comment on any questions. I'll always get back to you. And if you like anyone else, then please have a little look through the playlists. And today I'll be popping at the end very shortly my first video. You've looked at it now, have a look at it when it was 5 years ago, when I used what I had to hand. A lot of changes, and I'm so pleased as to how this has turned out. So, like I said, consider subscribing, hit that like button, and stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy gardening to you all. Ta-ra for now.